Welcome back, Goddess of Genesis fam. I'm here with a video about the new hero, Joan of Arc, who is awesome. I've been using her for a while now, and I think she is the most important character to own in this game. And Artemis is probably the best character, Joan is probably the second best character in the game. And the reason why is her talent at 4 stars gives her the ability to revive one ally. The first character who's going to die on your team, she will keep alive. And she grants them invincibility until their next turn. And this is super OP. It gives you options that you otherwise wouldn't normally have. She wins you matches that you otherwise would have lost. And it's like you're playing a different game when you have Joan compared to when you don't have Joan. So let me walk you through a couple examples. Here, this is a regular PvE match where I'm fighting high-level enemies, and they're about to wipe out my whole party. So right here, if I didn't have Joan in the party, Chang'e would be dead. It would just be Merlin, who's under half health, and someone like Valkyrie, a tank who's at like 1/5 health, who can't even guard because she's below 50%. But because Joan is there, she keeps Chang'e alive. And as long as your healer's alive, you always have a chance. And now this gives Chang'e the chance to do an AoE attack here, which Merlin will then follow up with an additional AoE. And now Joan can do her AoE attack, which Merlin will then follow up. And now, if you look, Merlin's hit points are almost up to full, so her AoE attack is devastating. And Joan can now jump in and guard because she's over 50% health. Now here's another example. This is a PvP, I believe it's AI arena fight. And 2 evenly matched teams here, going back and forth with the damage. And there's going to be a sequence coming up here that really shows the power of Joan. So at this point, my Artemis should be dead. But if you notice, my Artemis is going to continue to stick around until she gets another turn. So she gets a second chance to act before being killed. And look at how much damage my Artemis is soaking up here on the right. Similar to that Dracula over there on the left. So my Artemis is guaranteed a turn here. And then look what she does. This is also an example of how Artemis is a broken character, and the best character in the game currently. So I just want to rewind that so you can see exactly what happened here. So at this point, the enemy Artemis attacks my Joan, right? Now, if my Artemis were dead, the follow-up strike from Artemis would have killed my Joan because she has the lowest hit points. But because Artemis has less hit points, the attack goes to my Artemis. So instead of losing Joan, my Artemis stays and ends up taking out 3 of their characters with this sync attack from Chang'e here. So a character from the dead just took out 3 characters that are alive. Now, another example, this is in Arcane Trial, where I think the biggest danger in Arcane Trial is going to be taking consistent damage from tanks that have cancer. So when your primary DPS goes into attack, you're going to take that cancer damage that reflects back at you. And sometimes you're not sure if the enemy team has cancer on their tank, the cancer gem. So you're not sure if this attack is going to end up killing your DPS. Well, if you have Joan, you can just send your DPS in and it's fine, because even if they die, you can just heal them back up to full because there's no danger anymore of losing that character and having to revive them. Now, in this example, I'm doing a co-op mission in public with some stranger on the internet who I'm carrying them because I'm the higher level character. And as you can see here, they're the team on the right, the Artemis and the Merlin. And because they're low level, this AoE attack is going to trigger a lot of counterattacks, which get that Merlin killed. But because I've got Joan, the Merlin stays alive, it gives my Chang'e time to heal that Merlin back up to full health. So how does this all happen, right? The magic with Joan starts when she hits 4 stars. I would probably say that at 3 stars, like right out of the box, Joan is not that good. Chances are if you have a Valkyrie who's level 4, level 5 or higher, I would use Valkyrie over Joan until Joan gets to 4 stars. Because at 4 stars, that's when she gets the ability to revive her ally, and that's when the magic happens. So let's look through her abilities here. Her talent at 4 stars, when her hit points are above 50%, she intercepts attacks for her allies, single target attacks, and she enters guard after taking action. Now, her revive, the way it works is when Joan is the only guardian in the lineup, then she'll revive an ally, give them invincible for 1 turn, and remove all debuffs when they die. At 4 stars, she also casts Unyielding Divinity, which is her self-shield that we'll talk about later. Now at 5 stars, Joan gets even better, and in addition to everything she had at 4 stars, if you look at the bottom, she has damage reduction for the entire team of 20%, as long as Joan is alive and in the party. And if you think about it, how powerful this is, like Dracula has his Soul Shackle, which is a skill that he has to keep casting every single turn, and that gives 25% damage reduction for the entire team. Joan gets 20%, but it's a talent, so she doesn't have to cast anything. She just has it. As long as she's alive and in the party, 20% damage reduction across the board. Now, what's crazy is at 6 stars, that damage reduction becomes 30%, so it becomes even better than Dracula's skill that he has to keep casting every other turn. Joan gets more damage reduction without having to cast anything, which is insane. And then, when her hit points are below 50%, after taking an action, she can restore 10% of her HP. So she's going to heal just by hitting guard or doing anything. And then, when you limit break her sometime next year, Joan has the ability to revive 2 allies. So her revive doesn't affect 1, it happens twice to the first 2 characters that die. Now going through her abilities, her basic attack, one thing that's good about it is it inflicts 1 stack of charm. So if you have Lilith in your party, then this is going to help give true damage to Lilith's ultimate, because those stacks of charm are helpful. It also reduces, I believe, enemy damage. Now her skill is the shield, and I would say that Valkyrie's shield skill is better than Joan's. What Valkyrie's does is she puts a bubble on herself and an ally, so she can protect an ally with the bubble, and that bubble will negate entirely the next incoming attack. So Valkyrie and the ally take no damage, whereas with Joan, her bubble is only on herself, and what it does is it reduces single target attack damage by 50%, but it lasts 1 turn. So if you intercept multiple single target attacks, it will keep reducing that damage for an entire turn. It's not just the first attack. Now, at 4 stars, Joan will enter battle and cast this skill on herself automatically. So she already comes into battle with 50% damage reduction for 1 turn from single target attacks. Now her ultimate, it does 140% of strength to all enemies, and it inflicts 1 stack of charm. So again, helpful for Lilith. And what's odd about this is, as the number of enemies decreases, the damage here increases as enemies are removed. And one thing I've noticed about this attack that's a little strange is there was a Timeless Trial map where there was a time law where you had to inflict stacks of Ignite on the enemies in order to damage them. Otherwise, they had insane defense and would only take like 1 point of damage from regular attacks unless you put Ignite on them. Well, I didn't read the time law because I wasn't paying attention, but Joan's ultimate here still does full damage to enemies that have that maximum defense. I don't know if it's a bug or what, but she cleared that level without me having to go out and get someone with Ignite. I just kept using Joan's ultimate and it took out everybody. So that even goes through those fixed damage maps with the time law. Now, in terms of gear, what I have on my Joan, The only two things that I really like in terms of this gear right now is I like the Vampire's Kiss and I like the Frost Giant Heart. I'm not crazy about the others, and I'll go through equipment after this. For artifacts, I'm currently running 3 Cancer and 2 Virgo. The Cancer reflects damage that Joan receives, and the Virgo gives an additional shield whenever she's healed, so gives her some more sustain. Now another option, if you don't want to go that route, is you can also use Ares and Libra. Ares will provide more damage reduction, and Libra gives more hit points. That's also a viable option. In terms of perks, I recommend using Death Pulse, which is when hit points are below 80%. Each basic attack has a % chance to restore 15% hit points. And in the perk tree, my tank has the ability to counterattack single target attacks 100% of the time. So whenever she intercepts an attack, then she will immediately counterattack. And I believe those basic attacks have a chance to heal with Death Pulse. Now, looking at the equipment, I don't have all the equipment in the game, but I can tell you what I'm looking for in order to put on my Joan. And I think that the number one weapon that I'm looking for is Edge of Doom. And what that does is when you strike an enemy, you have a % chance to inflict healing prevention on them. And if you ever get into an extended PvP fight where there's like an enemy Isabella on the other side and she keeps healing them back to full, well, with this, you have a chance to put healing prevention for 2 turns, so they can't be healed for 2 turns, and that gives you a chance to finish off an enemy even if they have incredible sustain. I think another weapon that is really promising is the Dragon Protector, where you have a % chance to gain invincibility. So this is like that Valkyrie shield. You can get this to just pop up randomly when you're doing attacks, and that's going to make your Joan even tankier and more annoying, especially if they do like a big ultimate attack and it does no damage to them. Now, in terms of armor, there's 3 armors that I'm looking at for Joan. The first one is the Fire Dragon armor, where when your hit points are above 60%, it decreases physical damage taken by 20%. I think that looks pretty good. The Armor of Valhalla is upon taking single target damage, you have a chance to decrease the damage taken by 30%. So you combine her 20 to 30% damage reduction in her talent with 30% damage reduction here. That's going to make her stick around for a very long time. I also think the Paladin's armor is worth considering because it increases healing received by 10%. And because of all the perks in the Guardian tree, and she has potentially the Frost Giant Heart, which also heals, Joan can go from being at like 20% hit points to full within 1 turn. That's not uncommon. Now, in terms of helmets, I like the Vampire's Kiss because after taking damage, you have a chance to heal 30% of the damage taken. And I also think the Wrath of Ares is worth considering because when you take physical damage, you have a 40% chance to inflict attack down on the enemies. And since Joan is always intercepting attacks and then going back and striking the enemy, then you can inflict attack down on them and slowly decrease the damage output of the enemy party by Joan and her intercepting attacks. Now, in terms of accessories or trinkets, there's 3 that I'm eyeing. That one is Aegis of Zeus, where it will reflect physical damage. So this is similar to the Cancer Gem, but it's only for physical, but it should stack with Cancer as well. So you can make your Joan extremely spiky and reflect back a lot of damage to the enemies. Frost Giant Heart is what I'm currently using, and I like it a lot after taking action. It heals for 10% of max HP, and like I said, it's not uncommon for Joan to heal back more than 50% of her hit points within a single turn due to all the different healing abilities that she has. And another item I would consider is Dragon Blood Vial. And what this does, it gives you immunity to healing prevention. So if the enemy has an Edge of Doom on any of their characters and they want to prevent your Joan from healing because she's really annoying, then this Dragon Blood Vial makes sure that you are constantly healing despite them using Edge of Doom. So that's my build video on Joan. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any crazy stories about how Joan saved your butt, Leave them in the comments. I'd love to hear it. And if you like this video, please like and consider subscribing. I'll see you next video.